Chapter 1391, Separation Song Forces Wu Yong Back. Chapter 1391, Separation Song Forces Wu Yong Back. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Whether it be clear wind blades, clear jade lightning, clear jade dripping wind or profound immortal sound, the essence of these variation moves was wind path. The Wu clan ancestor whom had created this immortal battlefield killer move had clearly cultivated wind path to the extent of being able to imitate other paths with it, touching upon sword path, lightning path, water path and sound path. In Wu Yong's hands, this move had outstanding effect. Fang Yuan was helpless, while Feng Jiugu was in a dangerous situation. Profound immortal sound became more concentrated and sonorous, while the musical sounds on Feng Jiugu were suppressed until they were almost inaudible. Fang Yuan was helpless. He had a lot of immortal Gu and immortal killer moves, countless desolate beasts, ancient desolate beasts and so on. But when facing the rank 8 Gu immortal Wu Yong, these things appeared to be superficial, they were not useful enough to serve any purpose. Only reverse flow protection seal could be relied upon by Fang Yuan to maintain his unharmed state. Unfortunately, even this trump card could not resolve this dangerous situation. Profound immortal sound was becoming clearer and louder. Fang Yuan's reverse flow robe was shaking while the reverse flow river continued to decrease in volume so fast that it was startling him. But Fang Yuan was more anxious about Feng Jiugu. Red blood was flowing out of Feng Jiugu's nose, mouth and eyes. His body was shaking and it was getting more intense. Damn it! If this goes on, Feng Jiugu's killer move will be broken and will definitely backlash, causing heavy injuries. Adding on Wu Yong's attack, he might even die immediately. Fang Yuan understood this but was powerless to do anything. He naturally was not worried about Feng Jiugu, but if Feng Jiugu died, it would be his turn to face Wu Yong. Even if airlock's effect dissipated later on and he could use omnidirectional travel again, he would not have the chance to do so in front of Wu Yong. However, just as the situation was gradually tilting in favor of Wu Yong, Feng Jiugu suddenly let out a breath of air, his body relaxing. Soon afterwards, a unique aura rose from his body. Feng Jiugu slowly opened his mouth and started singing in a weak voice. The tone of his voice was not high, it was soft and low, but it was clearly heard by Fang Yuan and Wu Yong. His singing gradually became slightly louder, like a low murmur or like soft sleep-talking on a quiet night. A sudden emotion rose in Wu Yong's heart. Wu Yong's expression rapidly changed. He had protected himself with layers of powerful immortal level defenses, but when he heard this song, these defenses actually seemed to be non-existent, letting the song evoke emotions within him. Fang Yuan's expression also changed. Although he did not feel anything, intense ripples were set off on the surface of the reverse flow robe. This situation was even more serious than when he had faced the profound immortal sounds attack. Incredible, he possesses such a powerful sound path killer move. It targets anything and everything near it. I am also within its range, I should get away from Feng Jiugu. Fang Yuan quickly retreated. He was doing this not only for himself, but was also trying to help Feng Jiugu. Wu Yong made the same choice and was even more thorough in his retreat. His body disappeared without a trace. Being able to retreat or advance at will, this was the superiority of having territorial advantage. The immortal battlefield started attacking even faster and more wildly. Profound immortal sound, clear wind blades, clear jade dripping wind and clear jade lightning, these four variation moves appeared together and covered Feng Jiugu in multiple layers. Feng Jiugu ignored them, using his body to firmly resist all the attacks, while continuing to sing. The song was a pure and simple tune, but it contained the boundless profundities of sound path. The song gradually became louder, it was not an instant rise, but a gradual and gentle one, alternating between low and high pitch as it rose. Emotions coiled around Wu Yong's heart, making him even more puzzled. What sound path killer move is this? What kind of power is this? The song suddenly dropped to a low pitch, an incomparable gloominess and sentimental feelings attacked Wu Yong's heart, making him have an urge to cry. Without any warning, a word emerged in Wu Yong's mind: separation. The pain of separation, the sadness of separation, the gloominess of separation, and the reluctance of separation. Splitting up with your lover, never seeing your friends again, and the death of your loved ones. Separated, but the past remains the same. Separated, as old friends bid farewell. Separated, like the setting of the sun. Separated, like falling flowers that convey deep sadness. The song was sometimes mournful, like it was complaining about the injustice of fate, sometimes sad, as if it was questioning the cruelty of reality, sometimes resentful, like it was screaming internally, and sometimes gloomy, like crying without tears falling out, kept deep within oneself. Huff. Wu Yong's body suddenly shook fiercely as he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. His expression looked incredulous, because he shockingly discovered that immortal battlefield killer move, for clear transforming winds, was actually disintegrating and breaking apart. None of the goo worms that formed this battlefield killer move were destroyed because of the song, even the mortal goo were intact. Naturally, some goo worms had been destroyed and Fang Yuan had reflected the attacks with reverse flow protection seal, but Wu Yong had immediately replenished them, and there was no actual harm done. What made Wu Yong astonished was these goo worms had not received the slightest of damage, but they were no longer under his control and had begun to separate from each other, not willing to cooperate and work together. This was absurd. If the coordination of one or two goo worms was in chaos, it did not matter as long as they were not the cores of the killer move. If a part of the goo worms were destroyed, as long as they were not the cores, the killer move could still be maintained. But now, all the goo worms had separated and were leaving. Wu Yong was simply unable to control them. The culprit behind this was the song from Favourite Gu. Soon, Fang Yuan also sensed what had happened. He detected that the whole battlefield was in the midst of crumbling apart. Fang Yuan was inwardly very surprised. Wu Yong sensed the situation was awry and wanted to abort the battlefield killer move for clear transforming winds, but it was too late. At the very next instant, the whole battlefield disintegrated. The three immortals saw the clear sky and the white clouds once again. Wu Yong coughed out a mouthful of blood. He was forced out of hiding. His expression was pale as he staggered back due to the heavy injuries. An immortal battlefield killer move was different from a goo formation. If a goo formation was destroyed, the goo immortal would usually not suffer heavy injuries, but when an immortal battlefield killer move was destroyed, the backlash would normally be heavy and severe. The stronger a killer move was, the greater the power of the backlash. For clear transforming winds. This was a grand killer move that Wu Clan had used to subdue southern border. It was terrifyingly powerful, hence when it disintegrated, the backlash on Wu Yong was extremely severe. What an amazing killer move. What is its name? Wu Yong gazed at Favourite Gu and asked. Favourite Gu did not reply him, instead he continued singing. Wu Yong's expression changed again. At this moment, he could not hold back anymore. He took out the immortal Gu house clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building. Wu Yong entered this rank 8 immortal Gu house which had powerful defenses, healing himself calmly inside it. The matter of immortal essence expenditure was no longer the main issue. Wu Yong had no choice but to do this. But soon, the result that had shocked him occurred once again. Under the effect of the song, clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building actually started to shake and showed a slight sign of disintegrating. This was an actual rank 8 immortal Gu house. This meant that Favourite Gu's killer move was at rank 8 level. Seeing this, Wu Yong's eyes shined with a terrifying light and without tending to his injuries, he directly controlled the immortal Gu house to collide into Favourite Gu. An immortal Gu house had no clear weakness, it was the essence of formation path. Immortal Gu houses could rampage and destroy everything in a battlefield. This was not just a fact from past human history, it was also tried and tested common wisdom that Fang Yuan learned in the 500 years of his previous life. Naturally, every immortal Gu house had its own unique power. For instance, He tribe's dark prison could tame ancient desolate beasts. Another example was 33 Heavenly Halls of Baixiang Grotto Heaven. It was an immortal Gu house with extraordinary defense, and it was most proficient in storing and preserving immortal materials. But unfortunately, 33 Heavenly Halls was only an incomplete immortal Gu house. It had suffered serious damage in the past and had now already lost its movement ability. Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building naturally had its own killer moves, but Wu Yong's act of directly colliding into Feng Jiu Gu was also a wise choice. After all, activating killer moves required time. Direct collision would spend the least amount of time and was also the most straightforward. Feng Jiu Ji's immortal killer move might be shockingly powerful, but he seemed to be unable to move from the spot and could only passively face attacks. This flaw had already been noted by Fang Yuan and Wu Yong. The defenses on Feng Jiu Gu were almost exhausted. If Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building collided into him, he would definitely turn into meat paste. At this precarious moment, Fang Yuan could not just watch from the sidelines. When Wu Yong finished with Feng Jiu Gu, it would be his turn next. Airlock's time limit had not been reached yet. Fang Yuan moved forward and blocked the path of Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building. Fang Yuan could not activate Strength Path Giant Hand. Most of his attention was on maintaining Reverse Flow Protection Seal. He was only able to transform his arms and hands into dragon arms and claws, cover them with dragon scales, then activate Rank 7 Dragon Strength Immortal Gu. These Immortal Gu were all borrowed from Wu Clan, and now they were being used against Wu Yong. Wu Yong felt his chest tightening at this sight, and intensely poured in his immortal essence into the Immortal Gu house. Boom! Both sides collided, and without any surprise, Fang Yuan was sent flying. His strength was inferior to Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building. He was like a cannonball that was shot far away. But he suffered no injuries because of Reverse Flow Protection Seal. On the contrary, Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building lost many mortal Gu from the collision. With this opening created, Feng Jiu Ji's song became even more effective. Wu Yong seized the chance, continuing to control the immortal Gu house to collide into Feng Jiu Gu, while at the same time, he began to concentrate on activating a killer move of Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building. The immortal Gu house was about to collide into Feng Jiu Gu, but Fang Yuan could not return in time. However, right at this moment, Feng Jiu Gu suddenly moved and flew to the sky. Wu Yong's attack missed. His expression immediately showed shock and fury. Feng Jiu Gu could clearly move since the start, and had intentionally done this to deceive the enemy. The song was still continuing. Immortal Gu house Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building was disintegrating. From the surface, it looked like a two-storied bamboo stilt building. Although it was a rank 8 immortal Gu house, it used few Gu worms. It was not like those immortal Gu houses which were huge. They had a large number of Gu worms. With only so few Gu worms, Feng Jiu Ji's song was clearly even more effective. First, bamboos began to separate. The bamboos on the edges even directly left the immortal Gu house. These bamboos were naturally not real bamboos. Soon after leaving the main body, they emitted bright jade radiance as they disintegrated into countless little Gu worms. Wu Yong's expression turned gloomy. The situation was extremely unfavorable to him. At this time, Fang Yuan neared once again. Wu Yong coldly snorted, gazing deeply at Fang Yuan and Feng Jiu Gu before he mobilized Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building to leave. In just a few moments, Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building left the battlefield, becoming a small black dot in the horizon. He had actually taken the initiative to retreat. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1392, So It Was the Scheme of Heaven's Will. Chapter 1392, So It Was the Scheme of Heaven's Will. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Wu Yong took the initiative to retreat. Fang Yuan and Feng Jiu Gu were not happy, their hearts sank. Wu Yong could move ahead to attack, he could naturally retreat too. Fang Yuan and Feng Jiu Gu both hoped that Wu Yong would fight against them to the death. But Wu Yong did not do that. He chose to retreat in a logical and wise manner. He was a rank 8 righteous path Gu immortal, against 2 rank 7s, he actually chose to retreat. If news got out, Wu Yong would lose a portion of his reputation. The reason why it was only a portion was because his opponents were the famous Feng Jiugu and Lu Guanyi, Fang Yuan. Wu Yong needed a lot of courage to do this. Of course, he needed great wisdom. Immortal Battlefield Killer Move 4 Clear Transforming Winds was broken. Wu Yong suffered a backlash from the killer move and was heavily injured. But he had Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building, he could still fight. But when he found out that Feng Jiugu could move, and he could do nothing to Fang Yuan, he sensibly chose to retreat. This was a great move. In fact, this was even more powerful than his fierce attacks earlier. Fang Yuan's and Feng Jiuji's weaknesses were immediately targeted. Firstly, only a few edges of Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building had broken, it was still incredibly fast. It was impossible for Fang Yuan and Feng Jiugu to chase after Wu Yong. Especially when Fang Yuan's upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was no longer under his control. Secondly, Wu Yong obtained precious time to calmly heal himself. After all, his wounds were not light, his battle strength was severely affected. And finally, Wu Yong could repair Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building, and even add in more Gu worms to the Immortal Gu House. He would not be so passive when facing Feng Jiuji's Immortal Killer move again. Wu Yong's sound path attainment level was only ordinary, but his wind path attainment had long reached the level of mimicking other paths. He could totally use wind path methods to weaken the effects of Feng Jiuji's killer move. That was to say, when Wu Yong pursued them again, Fang Yuan and Feng Jiugu would have a face of fully healed rank 8 Gu Immortal with a peak condition Immortal Gu House, Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building, that was completely prepared for Feng Jiugu. Wu Yong could retreat as he pleased, he did not need to desperately fight with Fang Yuan or Feng Jiugu, he could wait for a better opportunity later. In contrast, Fang Yuan and Feng Jiugu could do nothing to him, they were in the passive position. Fang Yuan only had reverse flow protection seal, while Feng Jiugu might have an immortal battlefield killer move, but even if he had time to set it up, he could not trap Wu Yong, because he had the rank 8 Immortal Gu House Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building. The difference in strength. Even though Fang Yuan and Feng Jiugu worked together, there was still a huge gap in strength between them and Wu Yong. If it were only Wu Yong, they might have some hope of winning. But Wu Yong had the Immortal Gu House Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building, his battle strength had risen immensely, the two of them were helpless. Fang Yuan, leave first. At this moment, Feng Jiugu said to Fang Yuan. He spoke very plainly. Fang Yuan's pupils shrunk a little. Feng Jiugu looked at Fang Yuan deeply, he was expressionless, but he soon turned to look at the small black dot in the sky, Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building. Back then, you saved my life, today, I will save your life, from now on, the favor has been repaid completely. Feng Jiugu continued. Fang Yuan raised an eyebrow, that is not right. If not for my help, Wu Yong would have already killed you, you helped me and I helped you, you still owe me a favor. But Feng Jiugu continued in a light tone, if I say I owe you nothing, that means my heart is at ease, I have no obligations remaining, what you think is your business. Remember, if I survive this time, I will pursue you as my target, even if you escape to the ends of the world, I will not let you escape, be careful. Ha! Fang Yuan could not help but laugh. He understood Feng Jiuji's intention. Feng Jiugu saved him to repay that favor, but this way, it would go against his righteous path status, his wife and daughter would be in an awkward position. Thus, after Feng Jiugu saves Fang Yuan, he would need to pursue him and kill him, to prove his own allegiance and to protect his wife and daughter. Alright, the next time we meet, we will be enemies. Fang Yuan said, opening his immortal aperture's entrance, letting He Lu Lan and the others out. Ancient battle formation, omnidirectional travel, started to activate. Feng Jiugu did not respond, he did not even turn to look at Fang Yuan, he directly flew towards Wu Yong. If Fang Yuan used omnidirectional travel to escape, Wu Yong might chase after all. Thus, to repay this debt, Feng Jiugu had to take a risk and personally obstruct Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building. Looking deeply at Feng Jiugu for the last time, the ancient battle formation activated and Fang Yuan along with the other immortals vanished on the spot. Wu Yong, who had been watching Fang Yuan and Feng Jiugu, smiled bitterly as he saw him leaving. He slightly regretted his arrangement earlier. If he did not come alone, he would be able to take down both Fang Yuan and Feng Jiugu. But for the reputation of Wu clan, he had been planning hard to divert the rest of Southern Border's righteous path forces away. He had spread a net so that Fang Yuan would come right at him. This was not far from Western Desert. Fang Yuan's escape was almost certain at this point. I was careless. I did not think that Heavenly Court would help the demon Fang Yuan. Wu Yong watched as Feng Jiugu flew towards him, showing a cold and icy gaze. This was the guy who ruined his plans. He deserved death. But the opponent had immense talent and status. Wu Yong was a little hesitant. There was greater value in capturing Feng Jiugu alive than killing him. If he killed Feng Jiugu, Wu Yong would be enemies with Heavenly Court and Central Continent, and Heavenly Court currently held the secret that Wu Yi was Fang Yuan. If he captured him, Wu Yong would be able to negotiate with Central Continent using this bargaining chip. In fact, Wu Yong had been thinking about this earlier. If he wanted to kill Feng Jiugu, he would not have attacked like that. Wu Yong was not a hired killer, he was the leader of a super force. He needed to think of many things, not just this battle alone, but also the consequences that would follow. Immortal Killer Move, Separation Song. Feng Jiugu was still a distance away from Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building. He used this special move again. Wu Yong snorted. He had already added many goo worms into this immortal goo house. Even though the goo worms were still being separated, it was far weaker now. The intense battle continued. Wu Yong quickly gained the upper hand, even though he was still injured. Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building was too domineering. Feng Jiugu could only fight from a distance and use Separation Song against it. Wu Yong was an experienced schemer. After retreating once, he had no problems with retreating again. As long as the immortal goo house was broken apart to an extent, he would retreat and repair it. Feng Jiugu's Separation Song did not have any offensive power. The goo worms that were removed were quickly regained by Wu Yong and he placed them back in again. The only problem for Wu Yong was that immortal goo houses were not easy to assemble. But this battle was already set. Feng Jiugu could not win. If they clashed without either side falling back, Feng Jiugu might have some hope of victory. But Wu Yong was not a brute nor a fool. After fighting for some time, he abandoned the pride of a rank 8. In return, he could easily retreat and hold the initiative in his hands. Even the genius Feng Jiugu could only be suppressed. He had no chance of victory. At the same time, in Central Continent's Heavenly Court, Fairy Ziwei held on to Star Constellation chessboard as she looked at the battle situation of Feng Jiugu fighting Wu Yong. It is about time. Fairy Ziwei muttered. It turned out that Feng Jiugu's encounter with Fang Yuan was planned by Star Constellation Heaven's will. With the help of Heavenly Court, Feng Jiugu managed to meet Fang Yuan coincidentally while chasing the theft path Immortal Gu. Even Feng Jiugu was kept in the dark. In fact, even Heavenly Court was confused, not knowing why Star Constellation Heavens will plan this. Feng Jiugu's aura was weakening. He was covered in injuries, he could only use one more attack. In contrast, Wu Yong was inside Clear Jade Dripping Wind Tiny Bamboo Building. He was in good condition. The immortal goo house had only lost some of its outer layer. Fighting before retreating, before fighting once again. Humans were the most intelligent of all living beings. Wu Yong's proper strategy made Feng Jiugu unable to make a comeback. Feng Jiugu, if you surrender, I can keep you alive and send you back to Central Continent for Heavenly Court's judgment. Wu Yong said plainly. Feng Jiugu smiled. Oh Wu Yong, if you can take my next move, I will surrender to you, why not? Wu Yong's expression froze slightly. Even at this point, Feng Jiugu still had a trump card unused. Back in the day, the reason why I became famous, after receiving the acknowledgement of a rank 8 Gu immortal who accepted that I had rank 8 battle strength, was because of this move. Listen to it, my 7th song. Wait, Favourite Gu. At this moment, two figures appeared in the battlefield. They both had rank 8 aura. They were Gu immortals from Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects. Wu Yong was surprised. Heavenly Court actually still had such hidden cards. This was out of his expectations. In his opinion, if they had such strength remaining, why did they not use it earlier? Was it because they could not make it in time? Wu Yong guessed. While thinking, Wu Yong sneered, "Central Continent's people, you came just in time. I have something to tell you. Not only did you snatch the immortal Gu of our southern border's righteous path, your members are even defending demons." Wu Yong had no fear. He was defended by the immortal Gu house, and other southern border righteous path Gu immortals were coming to reinforce him. But these two Central Continent Gu immortals came prepared. One of them said, "Even though we are in two different regions, we are all righteous path members, we need to work together. We took the immortal Gu away earlier because we were afraid the demon would destroy them. We are already prepared to return these immortal Gu back to their original owners." Oh. Wu Yong was surprised. The other said, "As for defending the demon, we will deal with that. Favourite Gu, are you willing to swear upon Heavenly Court's orders to pursue Fang Yuan forever, and to not rest until you take his life?" Favourite Gu thought for a moment before replying. "I am willing. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1393, Fang Yuan Eats People. Chapter 1393, Fang Yuan Eats People. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. A boundless sea of sand, reaching as far as the eye could see. The sky was blue with white clouds and clear rays of the sun. I am finally in Western Desert. A figure emerged from Western Desert's regional wall. Instead of slowing down, he accelerated towards the sky. This youthful-looking person was dressed in a white robe with long sleeves, he had black hair and dark eyes, his face was clear as jade. It was Fang Yuan. Favourite Gu blocked Wu Yong for him, allowing him to escape. The sovereign immortal body was adept at traveling between regional walls, be it Southern Border's regional wall or Western Desert's regional wall, they could not stop Fang Yuan. In fact, the regional walls were where Fang Yuan was safest, he was like a fish in water. Bai Ning Bing, He Lu Lan, and the rest were inside Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. Thanks to him, they were able to travel through the regional walls, arriving in Western Desert as well. Thankfully, none of them were rank 8 Gu immortals, and because Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture had annexed many blessed lands and had sufficient Dao marks and foundation, he could contain these Gu immortals. If ordinary Gu immortals crossed regional walls, they would need to rest for some time, but with his sovereign immortal body, Fang Yuan traveled through them easily, there were no losses. After the Battle of the Giant Dream Realm, even though Fang Yuan became the new leader of Shadow Sect and inherited Purple Mountain True Monarch's many inheritances, he had lost the identity of Wu Yi Hai, his Lu Guanyi identity was exposed, and the crucial Dark Limit Immortal Gu had fallen into Heavenly Court's hands. And most important, he lost a rank 8 battle strength, upper extreme Heavenly Eagle. Along the way, Fang Yuan had been thinking about this battle, summing up his gains and losses. To think that the manifested dream realm would be invaded by Heaven's will. If I did not explore the dream realm, Heaven's will might not have found me. However, Shadow Sect was going to attack the dream realm eventually. Even though I am inside Western Desert now, I lost Dark Limit and was hit by Heavenly Court's investigative killer move, and most importantly, Heaven's will is watching me, my traces are completely exposed. Escaping from Southern Border and arriving in Western Desert was only temporarily alleviating the situation. If Heavenly Court or Heavens will had enough time to plan, Western Desert would become a dangerous place too. Fang Yuan would be assaulted by countless Gu immortals or forces here. Thus, his urgent needs now were to get rid of the investigative killer move on him and find a way to hide from heaven's will. Western Desert's zombie alliance was destroyed, but there are still a lot of resources left deep within Translocation Desert. Other than that, there are two places that naturally form goo, and can also produce immortal goo, like Southern Border's Jade Pot Mountain. Bai Ningbing's Ice Soul Immortal Goo was a wild immortal goo naturally created in Jade Pot Mountain. Because of Shadow Sect's secret operation, Western Desert had many secret spots. Two such spots were like Jade Pot Mountain. There were wild immortal goo about to spawn from them. Undoubtedly, Fong Yuan had to rush to these three locations. Feng Jiugu saved me, the favor is used up. His appearance was too coincidental, it might be part of Heavenly Court's plan. If he chases after me, even if I have reverse flow protection seal, I cannot do anything to him. And most importantly, Central Continent is going to send more experts, after all, it is only a matter of time. Thus, I need to act fast. Thinking of this, a bright light flashed in Fong Yuan's eyes. Immortal Killer Move, Ancient Sword Dragon Transformation. White light flashed, at the next moment, Fong Yuan turned into a slender silvery sword dragon. The sword dragon waved its tail and moved elegantly with rapid speed. Soon, Fong Yuan used Sword Escape Immortal Goo on top of the Ancient Sword Dragon transformation. Whoosh! He flew like a silvery light, tearing through space, the speed was unthinkably fast. Several days later, in Translocation Desert. This was one of the more famous deserts in Western Desert. Like how Eastern Sea had Ice Flow Sea Area, Twin Polar Sea Strait, Air Bubble Sea Area, Shark Sea, Elegant Splendorous Sea Area and other mystical sea areas. Western Desert had a large number of deserts scattered all over. They normally had special traits that differentiated them from the others, becoming famous among Western Desert Goo Immortals. Rank 6 Transformation Path Goo Immortal Yi Xuan, known as Fiend Mosquito, was currently floating above Translocation Desert. He wore thin black leather armor, he had a sharp nose and small eyes, his black hair was messy like weeds, not only was it sticking upwards, it also extended to his shoulder. He, I am Tailing Three Feather Boy, I might be able to find that corpse city of Zombie Alliance. He was smug internally, sniffing as he tried to smell. Found it. His eyes shone as he followed the smell, rushing down towards Translocation Desert. Seeing that he was getting closer to the ground, Fiend Mosquito did not dodge. When he was almost in contact with the ground, his black armor flickered with eerie light. Boom! With a soft sound, he drilled into the desert like he was jumping into water, vanishing. His field of vision turned dark, Fiend Mosquito had closed his eyes already. The hot sand surrounded his entire body, the temperature was very high, it could instantly cook an egg, before turning it into char. But Fiend Mosquito had his defensive methods, this environment was not unbearable for him. Even if his vision was dark, that was not a problem, Fiend Mosquito was most skilled at pursuing smell, the clues were more evident when traveling in the sand. He continued to travel across the desert. Guh. Suddenly, he pierced out of the sand and arrived in a cave. Fiend Mosquito was not surprised. There were many such caves under Translocation Desert. During the remote antiquity era, two immemorial desolate beasts fought here. One of the immemorial desolate beasts, an Earth Chi Bat Camel, lost the battle and died here. The Earth Chi Bat Camel was a rather unique immemorial desolate beast, it had two forms, bat and camel. When it traveled in the desert, it would become a brown camel large as a mountain, moving slowly. When it wanted to fly, it would turn into a jade bat, small as a fist, and would move extremely quickly. This unique immemorial desolate beast was quite similar to the Sun Moon Kuanping from Eastern Sea, many Goo Immortals compared the two. The Sun Moon Kuanping was a type of immemorial desolate beast living in Eastern Sea. Under the sun, the Sun Moon Kuanping would turn into a giant bird and soar the skies. When under the moon, the Sun Moon Kuanping would turn into a giant fish and devour the seas, having a grand aura. After the Earth Chi Bat Camel died, its Dao marks spread out and were carved in this desert, creating Translocation Desert. Inside the desert, large amounts of Earth Chi moved, this Earth Chi was like bubbles in water, creating tiny caves. Fiend Mosquito was now inside one of those caves. There was no air here, mortals would die if they came here. They would not die of suffocation, but the earth chi would turn them into stone. Gu immortal Fiend Mosquito was naturally immune to it. In fact, he could collect the earth chi as it was a type of resource as well. But now, he was tailing Three Feather Boy, he was afraid that taking the earth chi would alert the former, thus, he did not do so. He continued to sniff until he sensed Three Feather Boy's scent, continuing to move forward. Along the way, he passed many caves. These caves were varied in sizes, some were like rooms while others were like palaces. Finally, he came to a special cave. The aura here is so dense. Three Feather Boy must be nearby. Fiend Mosquito tried to open his eyes, but soon he was filled with shock. My goodness, this cave is too huge, it is like a mortal town. The earth chi here is so dense that an earth chi sandstorm is brewing. Fiend Mosquito soon found that at the center of this cave, there was a dark and heavy lump of moving sand oozing with immortal material aura. This sandstorm is made from earth chi, it is a rank 7 immortal material, extremely valuable. Fiend Mosquito was happy but worried. He was happy seeing such a huge immortal material, as a Western Desert lone immortal, this was a huge profit. His worry was that the sandstorm was very wild and had great power, it was hard to take it. Wait. Three Feather Boy's aura is nearby, that means he came here. Why did he not take this huge piece of earth chi essence? Fiend Mosquito's pupils suddenly shrunk, feeling something amiss. At this time, a boyish voice came from behind him, Fiend Mosquito, you are finally here. Hee, I have been waiting for you, go and test the formation for me. Oh no. Fiend Mosquito heard this and shuddered, wanting to dodge. But it was already too late. A storm of feathers made from blue light landed on his body. Fiend Mosquito was unable to help himself, the blue feathers brought him into the sandstorm. Fiend Mosquito's screams could be heard from inside the sandstorm. Three Feather Boy finally appeared now, he was rosy and tender, his young face was plump and very cute, he looked at the sandstorm as he laughed. Soon, Fiend Mosquito's cries came to a stop, blood leaked into the sandstorm but the moving sand quickly devoured it entirely. Three Feather Boy's laughter came to a stop as he had a worried expression. So powerful. He breathed in deeply, as expected of the defensive formation of Western Desert Zombie Alliance's branch. Fiend Mosquito was a rank 6 expert, but he only lasted so long. Who is it? Three Feather Boy turned around and stared ahead with a fixed gaze. Over there, a figure suddenly appeared. Damn, a rank 7 Gu immortal. Three Feather Boy sensed the newcomer's aura and felt bitter internally. He observed carefully, seeing that this Gu immortal had a handsome and gentlemanly appearance, he wore white clothes and had black hair. Even though he was a young man, and even though they were both guys, Three Feather Boy felt amazed at such an appearance. What a handsome person. Seeing his demeanor, he seems to be a righteous path Gu immortal. Just as Three Feather Boy was guessing, Fang Yuan looked at him and squinted, having some joy in his tone. Good, this is the third person I've met, after eating you, my appetite will be appeased for some time. What? Three Feather Boy was shocked, he quickly retreated, what righteous path is this? He wants to eat me. Sister, save me. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1394, Retrieving Western Desert Zombie Alliance's Inheritance. Chapter 1394, Retrieving Western Desert Zombie Alliance's Inheritance. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Fang Yuan's words made Three Feather Boy pale with horror, he immediately called for help. A figure rapidly appeared, going to Three Feather Boy and consoling him, little brother, don't be afraid, big sister is here. This female Gu immortal had a small and dainty body, she was like a little girl wearing a flowery green dress, there were 2 pearl earrings hanging on her ears, as if water was inside the pearls, there were green ripples inside when they shook. I am Cui Bo, who might you be? Is scaring my brother so fun? Fang Yuan assessed this fairy Cui Bo. She was emanating rank 7 Gu immortal aura. She thought that she was on equal status with Fang Yuan, who was also rank 7. Her skin was white as snow, but the green rippling light from her earrings made her look eerie. Her face was quite delicate, but her nose was slightly sharp, ruining her image. Fang Yuan rubbed his tummy, sighing, "I am speaking the truth, what do you mean by that? He, since you have come to me, I shall eat both of you then." The sovereign immortal body's flaw was the need to devour apertures. Fang Yuan had understood this from Purple Mountain True Monarch. Originally, according to Shadow Sect's plan, they sought to refine the rank 10 Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu. Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu was known as Sovereign, it naturally surpassed rank 9, this was the ambition of Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Unfortunately, he only managed to refine the rank 9 Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu, and it was snatched away by Fang Yuan. According to Spectral Soul's concept, rank 10 Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu had no weakness, it was nearly perfect. But at rank 9, it had one flaw that was not a flaw. Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu was an immortal Gu needed to be fed. Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu's food were immortal fetuses. What was an immortal fetus? Immortal fetus was an ancient term. For example, apertures were also known as essence pools or purple residences, but most people called them apertures. What was the biggest difference between immortal and mortal? Immortal apertures were also known as immortal fetuses. Except that immortal apertures were a more widely known name. To feed Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu with others' immortal apertures, the paths did not matter, but the cultivation level did. For example, as a rank 7, Fang Yuan needed to annex rank 7 immortal apertures now to feed Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu. When he becomes rank 8, he would need rank 8 immortal apertures. The perfect rank 10 Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu did not need any food, it could create a truly perfect immortal body from the Gu. Unlike Fang Yuan currently, even though he had the Sovereign Immortal body, he could still be turned back into the Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu if an appropriate method was used. Right now, even though Fang Yuan used Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu and obtained the Sovereign Immortal body, the flaw was still left behind. Thankfully, Fang Yuan changed his cultivation plan earlier, the time in the immortal aperture was slowed, by giving up some time path resources, he avoided heavenly tribulations and earthly calamities, annexing other people's apertures to raise his cultivation level. This way, through a stroke of luck, he managed to feed the Sovereign Immortal body. Fang Yuan did not lie to Three Feather Boy. On the way here, Fang Yuan met 3 rank 6 Western Desert Gu immortals and killed them, capturing their souls and annexing 2 of their immortal apertures. Fang Yuan could not annex the final one because of attainment level, he let it become a blessed land. Fairy Chui Bo and Three Feather Boy were a strong duo. They schemed and deceived Fiend Mosquito into entering the Gu formation, testing it for them while Fairy Chui Bo waited in ambush nearby. When they met ordinary rank 7 Gu immortals, Fairy Chui Bo could talk to them equally, but unfortunately, they met Fang Yuan. Coincidentally, a rank 7 Gu immortal who cultivates water path appeared. After eating her, I will not need to worry about Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu's food for some time. Fang Yuan was filled with killing intent, it was rare to find someone whose immortal aperture he could annex. Especially in Western Desert where Fire Path and Wind Path were the most popular paths, while Water Path was very rare, forming a clear contrast to Eastern Sea. Fang Yuan was a Water Path Grandmaster, but his Fire Path and Wind Path attainment levels were just ordinary. Rumble. Fang Yuan struck rapidly, using his immortal killer move, Myriad Self-First Style, Giant Hand. Immediately, a huge hand pushed away the air and charged at Fairy Chui Bo and Three Feather Boy with an overwhelming aura. Three Feather Boy shouted in shock as he dodged. Fairy Chui Bo also showed a look of surprise, she waved her hand as green acid appeared. The acid moved like a snake, landing on the giant hand and corroding it by 20%. However, the giant hand still had 80% of its power left. Under Fang Yuan's manipulation, it ignored Three Feather Boy and rushed towards Fairy Chui Bo. Fairy Chui Bo retreated as she called out, "Hold on, I am the third concubine of Thousand Transformations ancestor. Why don't you give ancestor face, becoming allies with us and sharing this zombie alliance treasure? Even though Fairy Cui Bo had rank 7 cultivation level, her strength was not impressive, it was very ordinary. But her status was quite extraordinary. She was related to Thousand Transformations ancestor. Even though Fang Yuan had little information of Western Desert's Gu immortal world, he knew about the reputation of Thousand Transformations ancestor. This ancestor cultivated transformation path solely. When he was young, he obtained a portion of reckless savage demon venerable's true inheritance. He had 1,000 transformations. Thus, he was called Thousand Transformations ancestor. Even though he inherited a demon venerable's true inheritance, he was not a demonic path Gu immortal, he was a famous lone immortal in Western Desert. His personal interest was similar to Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. He loved beautiful women and had hundreds or even thousands of wives and concubines. Among them were nearly 10 Gu immortals. Fairy Cui Bo was one of them. If I take Western Desert Zombie Alliance's inheritance, I will also get Thousand Transformations ancestors' animosity. Fang Yuan frowned. Fairy Cui Bo dodged as she observed his expression, before saying, I came here due to ancestors' orders. Sir, you have such battle strength, but it is not possible to get through the defensive Gu formation using brute force. The treasure has not appeared yet, why must we fight to the death now? If we waste time, unexpected mishaps might occur. Fairy Cui Bo was quite talented at speaking. Fang Yuan nodded, you make sense. Fairy Cui Bo and Three Feather Boy were overjoyed upon hearing this, but immediately after, Fang Yuan opened his immortal aperture's entrance and let out Bai Ning Bing, He Lu Lan, and Fairy Miao Yin. Go kill these two, I will take the inheritance here. Fang Yuan said. Bai Ning Bing snorted. Even though she was unhappy with Fang Yuan giving orders, she still charged towards Fairy Cui Bo. He Lu Lan fought against Three Feather Boy. Fairy Miao Yin smiled lightly, watching from the side to reinforce them. Fairy Cui Bo and Three Feather Boy were truly in fear now. They did not expect that Fang Yuan's immortal aperture would have 3 Gu immortals, and all of them were from other regions. This was very rare. Gu immortals would not let other Gu immortals hide inside their immortal apertures for no reason. Soon, Fairy Cui Bo and Three Feather Boy were heavily suppressed, they could not retaliate against He and Bai. These two are 10 extreme immortals. Their methods are impressive, I have never seen them before. I remember now, they are fugitives. Demonic scoundrels. This person is one of the culprits behind the fall of 88 True Yang building. Three Feather Boy and Fairy Cui Bo realized some information about Fang Yuan and the others. They were even more shocked now, they lost their morale and tried to escape. He and Bai chased after them, quickly getting out of this cave. Fang Yuan stood before the sandstorm, using his method that had been brewing for some time. In a few breaths' time, the sandstorm weakened, splitting in the center and revealing a path. Fang Yuan entered without hesitation. Fairy Miao Yin was still standing guard outside against any intruders. The sandstorm became larger after Fang Yuan entered, the path vanished as it returned to the original state. A city soon appeared in Fang Yuan's vision. Corpse City. Looking at it, this was a city made from yellow clay, it was not impressive. But the truth was, this city was a huge mortal Gu house, it was like the Dark Flow giant city in Northern Plains Zombie Alliance's branch. However, Western Desert Zombie Alliance's branch was different from the one in Northern Plains. The true base of Western Desert Zombie Alliance's branch was an Earth Path Blessed Land. Corpse City was inside the Blessed Land. Back then, when Shadow Sect activated their 100,000-year plan to defy heaven and refine sovereign immortal fetus Gu, they lost nearly everything. The Blessed Land base of Western Desert Zombie Alliance's branch was discarded, the resources inside were hidden in Corpse City, the entire mortal Gu house was moved to underneath Translocation Desert, and a defensive Gu formation was activated. This method allowed Western Desert Zombie Alliance to preserve most of its foundation. Not long after the Battle of Tian Mountain, the former Earth Path blessed land of Western Desert Zombie Alliance was broken into by Western Desert Gu immortals. But when they plundered it, these Western Desert Gu immortals were not satisfied, they became angry from this. Because they did not get the loot that they planned to get. After their constant investigation and deduction, along with the secret help of Heaven's will, they finally found this translocation desert, and confirmed that Western Desert Zombie Alliance's inheritance was hidden here. But to find the exact cave was not easy. Not only were these caves numerous like the stars in the sky, most importantly, these caves were constantly moving. At every moment old caves vanished while new caves appeared. This made the Western Desert Gu immortals' search difficult. Fang Yuan was different, he was the leader of Shadow Sect, he got here and entered Corpse City, it was simply too easy for him. However, meeting Fairy Cui Bo here was likely the plot of Heaven's will. To make me oppose a rank 8 great expert the moment I enter Western Desert. Along with me, Bai Ningbing and the others have been hit with investigative killer moves. I need to relocate these inheritances as soon as possible. Fang Yuan opened his immortal aperture's entrance and waved his hand, as the entire Corpse City entered his immortal aperture. Corpse City did not have immortal Gu stored up, but the defensive Gu formation used immortal Gu as the core. There were a total of 2 immortal Gu, one of them was Fang Yuan's main objective in this journey. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1395, Scaring Away 3 Rank 7s. Chapter 1395, Scaring Away 3 Rank 7s. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. From the appearance, this resembled a rhinoceros beetle. Fang Yuan held it in his palm, feeling the heavy stone-like weight. It had a huge carapace and a thick head, giving people the feeling of strength. Its tall and long forked horn seemed like a spear stabbing towards the sky. Rule Path Rank 7 Immortal Gu, Fight. This Immortal Gu was Fang Yuan's biggest gain this time. With his status as Shadow Sect's leader, Fang Yuan quickly refined this Gu and kept it in his immortal aperture. Other than that, there was another Immortal Gu. It was Rank 6 Earth Path, called Yellow Sand. This Immortal Gu looked like a ladybug and had a round carapace with 6 yellow stars on it. With Rank 7 Immortal Gu Fight and Rank 6 Immortal Gu Yellow Sand, as well as some Mortal Gu the dense Earth Chi inside these caves, and Earth Path Dao marks, Western Desert Zombie Alliance created this defensive Gu formation. But as Fang Yuan gathered Gu worms into his immortal aperture, the Gu formation broke apart and collapsed. Fang Yuan took another look at the treasury of Corpse City. Within the Mortal Gu house, there were lots of immortal materials. The most precious one was the Cold Moon Divine Bravery. It was a Rank 7 immortal material condensed from Moonlight at the center of the desert, taking 10,000 years to form. Inside Treasure Yellow Heaven, it was priceless. The quantity was so few that even Rank 8 Gu immortals did not have much. The one with the most quantity was a Rank 6 immortal material, phosphorescent wood. This grew in Fierce Ghost Desert, in the territory of Western Desert Zombie Alliance. There was a lot of phosphorescent wood. This was the accumulation of the Western Desert Zombie Alliance branch after countless years. This shows the massive foundation that Shadow Sect once had. Unfortunately, to refine Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu, they invested too much. After the Battle of Tian Mountain, their remaining forces were targeted by Heaven's Will, Heavenly Court, as well as me. Fang Yuan sighed internally. Ingwu Xia and Gang had already visited the other branches, Central Continent, Northern Plains, and Southern Borders. Zombie Alliance inheritance had already been used up. Over at Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance branch, the Eastern Sea Gu Immortals had taken over and were in control of it. And now, the final Western Desert inheritance was in Fang Yuan's hands. This was the final bit of fortune that Shadow Sect had. Other than this, there were some minor things, but in Western Desert, the only things that Fang Yuan cared about were the resource points similar to Jade Pot Mountain. Shadow Sect had secretly nurtured them to spawn wild immortal Gu. In the underground cave, Fairy Miao Yin and Fang Yuan waited for some time. A white-clothed person walked in. It was Dragon Lady by Ning Bing. She was cold like an icy mountain, her robe was white as snow, she was holding a captive in her hands. It was Fairy Chui Bo from earlier. Right now, she was a frozen popsicle, her eyes were shut and her body was covered in frost, she did not move, she was at Bai Ning Bing's mercy. Bai Ning Bing actually captured Fairy Chui Bo. This result made Fairy Miao Yin praise her as Fang Yuan's eyes shone. Even though Bai Ning Bing had rank 6 cultivation level, her battle strength was truly at rank 7, and one of the stronger experts among rank 7 too. Northern Dark Ice Soul physique of the 10 extreme physiques complemented by Xiang's true inheritance to display many times the original effect. And most importantly, Bai Ning Bing did not fear death, she was someone with incredible talent. Back in Southern Border, she had fought against 3 and killed 2 while heavily injuring the last one, the results were incredible. And now, she forcefully captured a rank 7 Gu immortal, her battle strength was only second to Fang Yuan now. Even though we captured Fairy Chui Bo, I am in no rush to annex her immortal aperture. Fang Yuan thought. Firstly, this place was filled with earth qi and did not have heaven qi, it was not suitable to place immortal aperture. Earlier, the rank 6 Gu immortal fiend mosquito in the defensive Gu formation had turned into sand, both his immortal aperture and corpse were of no value now. Fang Yuan was not hungry now, he was not at the point of needing food yet. And most importantly, Fairy Chui Bo was related to the rank 8 Gu immortal 1000 transformations ancestor. He could use her to alleviate some of Heaven's will's schemes. Since you captured her, you can keep her inside your immortal aperture. Fang Yuan said to Bai Ning Bing. Bai Ning Bing nodded. She could not turn back now, she was pursued by both Heavenly Court and Southern Border, she also needed Shadow Sect's help to refine Gu, she had to cooperate with Fang Yuan. He Lu Lan returned too. There were traces of blood on her, that boy was burned to ashes, his immortal aperture was destroyed too. Additionally, the battle attracted a bunch of Western Desert Gu immortals, but I did not fight them, I returned immediately. Their aura shows they are not simple. Fang Yuan nodded. Even though He Lu Lan had just undergone her immortal ascension, she already had very keen insight. Her evaluation was unlikely to be wrong, these Western Desert Gu immortals should be experts among rank 7s. It was no wonder. Western Desert Zombie Alliance was a super force after all. It was normal for the Western Desert Gu immortals to come to search for its inheritance. Even super forces would pay attention to it, moreover, don't forget Heaven's will was here trying to cause more problems for them. We will leave now. Fang Yuan said, but before he finished, 3 figures emerged from left, right, and above him. Friend, you are dreaming if you want to leave after getting Zombie Alliance's inheritance. At the left, a thin young-looking Gu immortal with rainbow feathers laughed shrilly. He was a rank 7 Gu immortal who cultivated enslavement path, known as Peacock Deity. You can leave, but you need to leave a portion of Zombie Alliance's inheritance for us. A female immortal above him wore a traditional Western Desert white dress, her face was half concealed by a veil, her beautiful eyes had thick and long eyelashes on them. This beauty was a famous fairy in Western Desert's Gu immortal world. Her status was on par with Xiao Si Lu and Fairy Miao Yin, she was called Beautiful Camel Immortal. To the right was a Gu immortal with a beard and bare chest, his muscular body and strong arms, along with his bronze skin and deep breathing, made him seem like a powerful person. He had a huge background, because his surname was Dong. Dong clan was a super clan of Western Desert. Dong Lai Feng, Wind Path rank 7 expert, most skilled at tracking and following people. 2 Southern Border, 1 Northern Plains, and 1 Western Desert Gu immortal, why such a motley crew? Dong Lai Feng frowned. Fang Yuan had the sovereign immortal body and was in Western Desert, he had the aura of a Western Desert Gu immortal. He Lu Lan underwent immortal ascension in Northern Plains, she was a Northern Plains Gu immortal. Bai Ning Bing and Fairy Miao Yin were both Southern Border Gu immortals. Gu immortals of other regions were usually ostracized. In this regard, Eastern Sea displayed it the least, but the other four regions normally hated outsiders. Gu immortals of other regions usually acted with a low profile because any strife or conflict would cause them to be ganged up upon by everyone. Be it Peacock Deity, Beautiful Camel Immortal, or Dong Lai Feng, they had ugly expressions. Because Feng Yuan and the others took away Zombie Alliance's inheritance. This belonged to them in their minds. These are Gu immortals of other regions, we can put down our differences and work together, to kill all of these outsider Gu immortals first. That's right, Western Desert is ruled by us Western Desert natives, these outsiders want to steal our treasures in our territory. Hand over Zombie Alliance's inheritance and we might spare your lives. The three Western Desert Gu immortals shouted. At the same time, they communicated secretly. Be careful, they have 2 rank 7 and 2 rank 6 Gu immortals. Those 2 rank 6s are not simple, their auras are strange. That rank 7 youngster seems quite familiar, where have I seen him before, Dong Lai Feng's pupils shrunk as he realized Feng Yuan's identity. Feng Yuan was currently using his real appearance. Since he knew about the investigative killer move on him, and since Familiar Face used up mental energy and immortal essence, he decided to stop concealing his identity since it was pointless. He is Lu Guanyi. Dong Lai Feng thought in shock, he immediately retreated. Swoosh, he spiraled away. Vanishing in an instant. Beautiful Camel Immortal and Peacock Deity were stunned. What happened? They were still filled with battle intent earlier and discussing about battle tactics, but now, Dong Lai Feng ran away. Was he hit by a peculiar killer move from the enemy? Or, did he retreat on his own? Wait. Beautiful Camel Immortal's expression also changed, she realized that Feng Yuan was Lu Guanyi. After the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Lu Guanyi became famous in all 5 regions, his appearance was known to all. This level of popularity varied in the 5 regions. Northern Plains was the most informed about it, while Central Continent also knew a lot because Heavenly Court participated in the battle. As for the other 3 regions, some knew about Lu Guanyi's appearance, but others only heard about the matter, they did not have much information. After all, in their minds, Lu Guanyi was a Northern Plains Gu immortal, he was not in the same region as them. Like earlier, Fairy Cui Bo did not manage to recognize Feng Yuan, ending up as a captive. Beautiful Camel Immortal recognized Feng Yuan and immediately gasped, why would she stay here? She escaped immediately. What a joke, this person could rival rank 8 experts. How could she fight him? Trying to find trouble with him was courting death. At the same time, Beautiful Camel Immortal scolded Dong Lai Feng in her mind, he ran so quickly without informing them. But in his perspective, if Beautiful Camel Immortal found out about Feng Yuan's identity first, she would do the same. After all, when escaping, not only did you and your enemy's speed matter, the important thing was the difference in speed between you and your allies. Peacock Deity was dazed. Beautiful Camel Immortal fled too. Oh no! At this moment, Peacock Deity felt something amiss, even though he did not understand why. He had a lot of life experience, he immediately reacted. His body shook as he flew away like lightning, he was even faster than Beautiful Camel Immortal. Before Feng Yuan did anything, these 3 Western Desert rank 7 experts fled in fear. Feng Yuan looked at the sky as he snickered. Even if heavens will plotted, so what? As long as Feng Yuan was strong enough, no matter who was instigated, their survival instincts would take over at the crucial moment. Earlier, when he escaped around southern border, it was because his enemies were too strong. But in fact, Feng Yuan was already a Gu immortal expert. Ordinary rank 7 Gu immortals could not even face him directly. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know in the report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1396, Soaring Fighting Spirit. Chapter 1396, Soaring Fighting Spirit. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Humph, a bunch of clowns. Bai Ningbing snorted coldly. He Lulan was silent, feeling deep emotions. Peacock Deity, Beautiful Camel Immortal, and Dong Lai Feng were rank 7 experts, even in Southern Border, although they could not compare to Old Treeman Bada and Wu Clan's Wu Yu Bo, they could match Wu Yiran. That Beautiful Camel Immortal had status similar to Fairy Miao Yin and Xiao Si Lu in Western Desert's Gu Immortal world. But against Fang Yuan, who could rival rank 8s, they were simply too weak. Unknowingly, he had already grown to this extent. Such terrifying growth speed. He Lulan's heart was truly in a commotion. Her battle strength had surged greatly as well. But after her immortal ascension, she had been pursued constantly, she rarely had time to flaunt her strength. This time, when the enemies ran away from them, she finally realized, their side was truly powerful. Their earlier encounters were because the enemies were too powerful. Heavenly Court, Longevity Heaven, and the entire Righteous Path Alliance of Southern Border. The truth was, as long as there were no rank 8 Gu Immortals, with their power, they could rampage unhindered. In the entire Gu Immortal world, rank 8 Gu Immortals are very few. As long as we get rid of the investigative killer moves on us, we can hide ourselves and develop quietly. With such strength, most Gu Immortals cannot obstruct our development. He Lulan thought of this as her ambitions grew again. She was a bold and formidable person, her ambitions were huge. Even though she was restrained by Shadow Sect's alliance agreement, she was not going to be an obedient subordinate of Fang Yuan forever. Alright, we got what we want, let's go. Fang Yuan said. Bai Ningbing, He Lulan, and Fairy Miao Yin gathered together. The 4 immortals worked together and used the ancient battle formation, omnidirectional travel. Whoosh! With a bright light, they vanished. When they opened their eyes, they were above an ordinary sand dune. The sun was hanging in the sky, as the sand below them were heated and the air was distorted from heat, they felt a strong wave of hot air blowing at them. Fang Yuan looked afar. Translocation Desert was over there. They were far away now. We will rest here. Guard the surroundings. Fang Yuan said as he opened his immortal aperture's entrance, letting Lady White Rabbit out. He was now the leader of Shadow Sect. He had Shadow Sect's information, all these members, wandering other regions, chose to obey Fang Yuan. The 4 immortals flew out and concealed themselves, using their investigative methods. Fang Yuan entered the desert and went deep underground, creating a small cave in the sand. This cave was very simple, but Fang Yuan used some mortal goo to create a goo formation. Not only did he reinforce this cave, he even allowed fresh air to come in. Fang Yuan was a formation path grandmaster, such a mortal goo formation was as easy as breathing to him. After creating it, Fang Yuan did not waste time, he sat down and shut his eyes. He raced against time and quickly used an immortal killer move. This move was called Soaring Fighting Spirit, it was a non-mainstream wisdom path killer move that Fang Yuan got from Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance. This move only had 1 core immortal goo, it was the rule path rank 7 immortal goo that Fang Yuan obtained from Corp City's defensive goo formation, Fight. The other supplementary goo worms were all mortal goo, and most were wisdom path. It was a rank 7 immortal killer move after all, even though time was pressing, Fang Yuan was not overly rushing it. He moved step by step, meticulously. Goo worms were activated as profound lights formed, enveloping the sky of Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal aperture. As the number of mortal goo increased, the profound lights became deeper in color. After reaching the limit, Fang Yuan started to instill red date immortal essence into Fight immortal goo. The immortal essence expenditure was not high, only using 3 beads, the back of Fight goo opened up as it started to fly, drawing a silver trace in the sky using its body. This trace entered the profound light, it shined instantly with a blinding glare. Boom! The profound light exploded, fading instantly. A large number of mortal goo were destroyed, even Fight goo fell to the ground. The killer move activation failed. The backlash made Fang Yuan's soul shake as he suffered major injuries. Thoughts were rampaging in his mind, countless thoughts collided or destroyed themselves uncontrollably. Fang Yuan started to think about random things as absurd thoughts filled his mind. But he was prepared for it, he held on and endured it. After a dozen breaths, the thoughts in his mind settled down. Fang Yuan was pale and let out a breath of air, healing his injuries. The injuries on his body were mild, but his soul was heavily injured and his mind was also hurt badly. It was not surprising. This immortal killer move was used for the first time, even though Fang Yuan simulated it earlier, the actual use of it would definitely be different from his deductions. The stronger the immortal killer move, the greater the backlash when its activation fails. And backlash also had different types. Like this time, Fang Yuan's body was not injured much, his soul and mind were the ones which suffered. After some healing, Fang Yuan recovered from his injuries. Currently, although Fang Yuan did not have any strong immortal healing methods, he had sufficient ways. If his body got injured, he had Time Path Immortal Gu Man as before. If his soul was injured, he had Guts Gu. His mind was injured this time, but Fang Yuan also had many wisdom path methods to heal himself. These were all inherited from Purple Mountain True Monarch. Fang Yuan's sovereign immortal body had non-conflicting Dao marks, the healing effect was very good. Of course, with an injured mind, just these small methods could not completely resolve the issue, but the lingering symptoms were of no concern. Fang Yuan ignored these, he continued to try and activate the immortal killer move, Soaring Fighting Spirit. He failed the second time but finally succeeded on the third time. Inside the sovereign immortal aperture, a profound light flowed like water, turning from a spread-out cloud to a condensed basin-sized shape. Go! At Fang Yuan's will, this round profound light shot down and landed on Xianxia. Xianxia was still in the pure dream reality seeker physique body, but he had suffered too big of an impact, he was like a corpse lying on the ground, lifeless and dull. The profound light landed on him like water going into the soil, it directly went into Xianxia's brain. Not just that, a big portion went into his soul. The entire process was very fast, it completely fused into him with just a few breaths of time. Xianxia's body shook. Next, his eyes burst out with sharp light. Ah! He opened his mouth and shouted, before jumped and sitting up. Damn it, damn it! He clenched his fists, veins were popping on his arms, his fingers were cracking. Heavenly Court captured my main body, this is unforgivable. I must get back my main body, I must save him, even if it is Heavenly Court, I will smash them to bits. Ah! Xianxia continued to shout, he stood up and screamed at the sky. I want to fight. I must persevere. I was too weak-willed earlier, that was not right. O Fang Yuan, you are a complete otherworldly demon, since Lord Purple acknowledged you, I will do the same. In this world, who has a chance of destroying Fate Gu? You are the most likely person. I believe that you can lead us and charge into Heavenly Court, destroy Fate Gu and rescue my main body. Xianxia was no longer as depressed as earlier, he was like a new person. Good. Fang Yuan nodded in satisfaction. Xianxia's display showed he had not wasted his efforts. Xianxia's battle strength was rank 7, but he had the ultimate lead soul into Dream Killer move, even rank 8 Gu immortals could not defend against him, or even immortal Gu houses. If Xianxia helped them during the battle against Wu Yong might have died. Xianxia regained his fighting spirit, not only did it increase Fang Yuan's strength, it also involved another person. Sixth Hair. Inside Langya Blessed Land, in a refinement hall. Rumble. Earth fire burst up and exploded like thunder. From the flames, a figure jumped out. This person was covered in black hair, had a brawny figure and was coughing pathetically. It was Langya Land Spirit. Cough, cough, I failed again. Damn it. If I used the nature refinement method of my race, the immortal Gu refinement would have succeeded already. But that Fang Yuan wants to use the human isolation style to refine the immortal Gu, isn't he just making things difficult for me? Langya Land's spirit complained incessantly. At this moment, a voice came from outside the door, I am Sixth Hair, requesting to meet Lord First Supreme Elder. Sixth Hair, what is it? Facing his fellow hairy man, Langya Land's spirit had an amiable disposition. I want to help First Supreme Elder refine Gu, it will help with raising my refinement path attainment. Sixth Hair answered, bright light shining deep in his eyes. Langya Land's spirit was most skilled at the hairy man heaven and earth style Gu refinement method. But this method would never succeed in refining Fang Yuan's Gu. Because this method attracted heaven's will and even heavenly tribulations or earthly calamities. Only the human isolation method had a chance of success. Langya Land's spirit did not know this, and as a matter of fact, he did not excel at the human isolation style. As a hairy man supremacist, he scoffed at the human isolation style, looking down on it. In terms of success rate, the hairy man heaven and earth style was far superior to the human isolation style. Langya Land's spirit was not familiar with this method, but Sixth Hair was. Sixth Hair was a split soul of spectral soul, he was skilled at the human style. But when he lived in Langya blessed land all these years, he did not expose that talent. Until now. O Fang Yuan, since you obtained the acknowledgement of Xianxia, I will try and accept you as the leader of Shadow Sect. Let me help you to refine the immortal Gu. This was where Sixth Hair could help Fang Yuan the most. Even though exposing his talent would be risky and attract Langya Land's spirit suspicion, putting Sixth Hair in danger, he could not care about it now. Being able to help Shadow Sect would be good enough. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1397, Switching Souls with Xianxia. Chapter 1397, Switching Souls with Xianxia. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. His wavy black hair flowed down to his shoulders. He had a tall nose, his lips were sharp like blades, he was currently pressing his lips together lightly, showing a cold and cool demeanor. It was Xianxia's soul. Now, he had already left the pure dream reality seeker physique body, his soul was floating in the air. This body? Xianxia frowned, looking at the ice coffin in front of him. This ice coffin was emitting frost energy at all times, it was translucent like a crystal, a Gu immortal was sealed inside. Her body was small and dainty, she was like a little girl wearing a flowery green dress, there were 2 pearl earrings hanging on her ears, as if water was inside the pearls, there were green ripples inside when they shook. Her eyes were shut, with Bai Ningbing sealing her in the ice, even the thoughts in her mind were frozen, her life was in their hands. This female immortal was none other than the Western Desert Gu immortal who, out of lack of knowledge, did not flee from Fang Yuan immediately and got captured by Bai Ningbing, Fairy Chui Bo. Seeing Xianxia's hesitation, Fang Yuan urged, in this situation, how can we find another suitable body for you? Just use this for now. Xianxia nodded, sigh, this is the only way, let's start. Fang Yuan waved his right hand as a rank 7 immortal Gu flew out from his hand. This immortal Gu was like a swan's egg, it was translucent, and from the outside, jade light could be seen in it. When it was close, Fang Yuan could feel a bone-chilling coldness emitting from this immortal Gu. This cold was different from the frost of the ice coffin. The ice coffin's coldness was bone-piercing, but this immortal Gu's coldness was targeted directly at the soul. Xianxia's soul shuddered uncontrollably when this immortal Gu came out. On the other end, Bai Ningbing watched quietly, her gaze was attracted to this rank 7 immortal Gu. This is changed soul immortal Gu. Bai Ningbing thought to herself. Indeed, it was changed soul immortal Gu. This immortal Gu's history was quite complex. It was first refined by Green of Spectral Soul's first-generation split souls. It was then passed to Spirit Affinity House's Fairy Mo Yao. To save her lover Bo Qing, Mo Yao used Change Soul to swap her soul with Bo Qing. Bo Qing's remnant soul was saved by Shadow Sect and hidden inside Central Continent's Earth Abyss. They tried healing him but his injuries were too severe. He was captured by Heavenly Court in the end. Meanwhile, Mo Yao's remnant soul was left inside Bo Qing's immortal zombie body, and Change Soul Immortal Gu, as well as Bo Qing's Sword Path Immortal Gu, were all left behind. After this, Fang Yuan went into Falling Heavenly River and used Mo Yao's will to lure out some Immortal Gu, including Change Soul Immortal Gu. But even though Fang Yuan used the light of wisdom to refine these Immortal Gu, he knew nothing about Change Soul Immortal Gu. Only when Star Constellation Heavens will directed Fang Yuan and gave him a powerful killer move for switching souls, did Fang Yuan learn about its effect. Fang Yuan switched souls in his dream and took over Ying Wu Xie's body at the most crucial moment. He successfully plotted against Spectral Soul and took away Sovereign Immortal Fetus Gu. One could say, during the Battle of Tian Mountain, Shadow Sect lost completely and Fang Yuan managed to turn it around for himself. This Change Soul Immortal Gu played a crucial role. And now, this Immortal Gu was used once again, but this time, Fang Yuan was not dealing with Shadow Sect, he was helping it. He had even become the leader of Shadow Sect himself. Events in life were truly unpredictable. Before this, be it Fang Yuan or Shadow Sect, who could have expected this outcome? Under the effect of Change Soul, Ying Wu Xie's soul and Fairy Chui Bo's soul were switched. What are you doing? What have you done with me? Fairy Chui Bo's soul left the ice coffin and woke up, screaming in terror. But she lacked a body. Even though her soul was screaming, the only thing that came out would be meaningless screeches to a person's ear. Of course, Fang Yuan understood them. He had soul language Gu worms, they were mortal Gu and he possessed a huge quantity of them, inherited from Purple Mountain True Monarch. Fang Yuan snickered, waving lightly towards Fairy Chui Bo's soul. Fairy Chui Bo felt an irresistible force as she floated towards Fang Yuan's hand. No! She screamed loudly, her voice was so shrill that even Bai Ningbing frowned lightly. At the next moment, she was stuffed into the Sovereign Immortal Aperture by Fang Yuan's method. Even though Bai Ningbing had already soul-searched Fairy Chui Bo and she had no secrets left, her Gu Immortal Soul itself could be used. Dang Hun Mountain was an effective way to use her. Gu Immortal Souls, especially human Gu Immortal Souls with higher cultivation level, would have deeper foundations. After they were smashed on Dang Hun Mountain, the guts Gu produced would be higher in quantity. But now, Fang Yuan had other methods to deal with her. Thanks to Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, there were many soul path methods recorded inside. One of them was a way to refine a Gu Immortal Soul into a human-shaped soul beast. Fairy Chui Bo, with rank 7 cultivation level, would become an ancient soul beast. If Fang Yuan refined her into a soul beast, he did not need to use any enslavement path methods, he could make her obey him with absolute loyalty. After becoming the leader of Shadow Sect, Fang Yuan's greatest gain was in methods and killer moves. Even though there were many immortal materials and immortal Gu, their value in total was still lower. But these methods needed time to be converted into true battle strength. And Fang Yuan was now facing the pursuit of enemies, he lacked time. Fairy Chui Bo's soul was suppressed, and Fang Yuan stored away Change Soul Immortal Gu. At this time, Bai Ningbing let out Fairy Chui Bo from the ice coffin. Or rather, it was Ying Wu Xie inside Fairy Chui Bo's body. So cold. Ying Wu Xie muttered, he was still covered in frost. Bai Ningbing gave a wave, the frost on Ying Wu Xie's body vanished. Ying Wu Xie expressed his gratitude before receiving a large number of Gu worms from Fang Yuan. He received a large amount of Mortal Gu and Immortal Gu, as well as Immortal Essence Stones. You still want me to use Lead Soul into Dream? Ying Wu Xie saw these Gu worms and was surprised. Take them, I already know about Lead Soul into Dream. This killer move is too complex, I cannot master it in a short time. we were hit by Heavenly Court's investigative killer move earlier, we need your battle strength. Fang Yuan said calmly. Xia nodded deeply, his eyes were shining as he clenched his fists. Sect leader, you are right, I will not let you down. Bai Ningbing had a look of suspicion in her gaze. Even though Xia regained his morale, his personality seemed to have changed. Fang Yuan nodded in agreement, but he understood. Wisdom Path had thoughts, wills, and emotions. Xia was originally depressed, but because his fighting spirit was renewed, his personality had changed slightly, it was natural. Sect leader, what are we going to do next? Tell us. Even if we are attacking Heavenly Court, I will follow you. Damn these righteous path scoundrels, I will kill all of them. Xia said as he waved his arms, he was extremely excited, his huge plump chest was bouncing up and down in response. Fang Yuan pondered, Heavenly Court's pursuit is the problem I want to address. They are the people most familiar with our information, the Gu immortals they send will definitely be too strong for us to resist. Fang Yuan thought of this as he frowned. He thought of Feng Jiugu. Feng Jiugu said that he had met Fang Yuan and the others because he was pursuing an immortal Gu related to thieving Heaven Demon Venerable. But their encounter was simply too coincidental. Was Feng Jiugu the backup plan of Heavenly Court? It seemed like it, yet not really. Fang Yuan thought in their shoes, if I were Heavenly Court, I would do my best to deal with the remnant forces of Shadow Sect and deal a fatal blow. Sending Feng Jiugu seems to be a poor decision. Fang Yuan did not understand this. There was little chance of Heavenly Court making a mistake. Heavenly Court dealt with Shadow Sect and attacked twice with great effect. The first was during the Battle of Tian Mountain, and the second was the Battle of the Giant Dream Realm. These were two crucial battles, because of Heavenly Court's interference, Shadow Sect lost and Spectral Soul's 100,000-year plan was foiled. I became the leader of Shadow Sect and Heavenly Court immediately makes a careless mistake. No, there is something that I am not understanding. Fang Yuan thought to himself. At the same time, someone emerged from Western Desert's regional wall. He had a tall body, sharp brows and bright eyes, his expression was warm and he had a graceful demeanor, making people feel admiration towards him. It was Feng Jiugu. With such a rank 8 immortal Gu, crossing the regional wall is countless times easier now. Feng Jiugu looked behind, recalling the scene earlier. Two Heavenly Court rank 8 Gu immortals suddenly appeared and stopped Feng Jiuji's and Wu Yong's battle. Heavenly Court returned the Gu worms of Southern Border's righteous path, and because Wu Yong was already injured, he accepted this result and left. Feng Jiugu, you have already vowed upon it, from now on, go pursue Fang Yuan and Shadow Sect. This rank 8 immortal Gu will be lent to you, in the future, when you face rank 8 Gu immortals, it will not be so difficult. But against Fang Yuan, you need to be careful of one thing. The Heavenly Court Gu immortals instructed Feng Jiugu. Feng Jiugu was confused, asking, what do you mean? The Heavenly Court Gu immortals had dark gazes, Fang Yuan is a complete otherworldly demon, he needs to be killed. But it is not enough to kill him. Red Lotus Demon Venerable's chosen pawn is Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan has Spring Autumn Cicada and is now the leader of Shadow Sect, he will definitely head to the River of Time and find the Stone Lotus Islands to inherit Red Lotus' true inheritance. Red Lotus Demon Venerable's true inheritance is hidden deep in the River of Time, it is incredibly concealed. Pursue Fang Yuan and force him to find Red Lotus' true inheritance, before destroying him along with Red Lotus' true inheritance. Feng Jiuji's gaze flickered, he finally understood Heavenly Court's true objective. Fang Yuan, Red Lotus' true inheritance. Back in reality, Feng Jiugu muttered as he flew into the sky, directly towards the location where Fang Yuan and the others were hiding. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1398, 1000 Transformations Ancestor. Chapter 1398, 1000 Transformations Ancestor. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. The sun was blazing, the rays were like countless arrows shooting down at this majestic desert. On this desert, there were countless sand statues. These statues made from sand had the forms of humans or beasts, some were fighting while some were lying down, looking like they were on their final breaths. There were larger and smaller sand statues, but the smallest one was tens of feet tall. Countless statues formed a forest of sand statues. It was a grand sight. It was the myriad statue desert. This desert was huge, there were countless sand statues in it, everyone in Western Desert's Gu immortal world knew about it. It had a long history, it was formed during the Olden Antiquity era, and had been around for over 1,000,000 years. This desert was formed from a particularly important situation in human history. It was during reckless savage demon Venerable's era. A huge battle was fought here between humans and variant humans. After 100 days and night, rivers of blood flowed, almost turning into a sea. During that era, transformation path was the mainstream path. In the battle, humans won a Pyrrhic victory, be it the humans or the variant humans. Large numbers of Gu immortals died here. Their immortal fetuses formed into blessed lands, their Dao mark spread out and changed the environment. Gradually, this became the myriad statue desert. The sand moved on its own, growing like trees at a slow rate each year, eventually turning into huge statues. This was the former location of the great battle where the different races fought from day until night. Countless life forms died. But fortune and disaster coexisted. This place became a sanctuary for cultivation as it was now filled with resources. Every sand statue was an immortal material filled with transformation path Dao marks if it was at least 60 feet tall. There were no longer any blessed lands here. After 1,000,000 years, these blessed lands were either destroyed by tribulations or taken by Gu immortals. But here, there were countless wild Gu worms and even wild immortal Gu. Nobody would step here rashly. Because the environment was too dense with Dao marks, mortals could not traverse the desert, it was too dangerous for them. As for Western Desert Gu immortals, they would also make a detour when they came here. Because of one person. 1,000 Transformations Ancestor. This rank 8 Gu immortal, specialized in transformation path, had been here for 1,000 years. The might of rank 8 deterred everyone from antagonizing him. Myriad Statue Desert was 1,000 Transformations Ancestors' territory. Any Gu immortal who entered without his permission would need to prepare to face the fury of a rank 8. Deep below the desert, in Myriad Statue Palace. Deep within the palace, in an eerie dark corner, there was a painful cry that could be heard. Ah! 1,000 Transformations Ancestor raised his head and screamed. He seemed to be in great pain, his expression was terrifying. Every time he shouted, sound waves could be seen spreading outwards. But when these sound waves landed on the palace walls, there would be a veil of light that absorbed all the sound waves rapidly. Because of these walls isolating him, all of the commotion from 1,000 Transformations Ancestor could not be felt outside. Pain. Intense pain. An unbearable pain was assaulting 1,000 Transformations Ancestor's mind and body. His forehead had popping veins, he could not take it anymore, he rolled around the ground in pain. If any other Gu immortal saw this, they would be deeply shocked. What was the reason that made 1,000 Transformations Ancestor suffer such intense torture? To have lost all of his rank 8 demeanor. Cling, clang. More than 10 thick chains coiled around 1,000 Transformations Ancestor's body, his 4 limbs were connected to chains that stabbed deeply into the surrounding walls. Seeing this, 1,000 Transformations Ancestor was actually imprisoned. No, this cannot continue, I am going to go crazy completely, the intense pain will engulf all my reason and make me a lunatic. Rank 8 Myriad Tribulation, even the first one is so terrifying, how can I deal with the next 2? Damn it! The final bit of clarity in 1,000 Transformations Ancestor's eyes struggled. Using this last bit of sanity, 1,000 Transformations Ancestor made his choice. Immortal Killer Move, Cutting Flesh Transformation. He activated his killer move, he was extremely familiar with this move. At the crucial moment, even though he was in deep pain, the activation did not fail. This rank 8 immortal killer move had grand aura. Thousand Transformations Ancestor's immortal body started to expand. Like he was a balloon, he became larger and larger, from a muscular middle-aged man into a round and fat meatball. The fat Thousand Transformations Ancestor shook his body as soft sounds could be heard from within him. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Along with the sound, a meat lump appeared on the side of his neck. The meat lump became larger and larger, it inflated like a balloon. His pain intensified. Thousand Transformations Ancestor gritted his teeth, his face had swollen up, his eyes could not be seen anymore. Guh. Soon, after the meat lump on his neck grew to the size of a face, it reached its limits and exploded. The meat lump exploded as yellow pus splattered, a year beast jumped out and landed on the ground. Woof woof woof. After this year beast landed, it started to bark, it was a dog year beast. And its aura was not weak, it was a desolate year beast. After the dog year beast landed on the ground, Thousand Transformations Ancestor felt a bit of relief. It was as if he was carrying a mountain on his back, and now, a rock had been lifted off that mountain. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Next, on Thousand Transformations Ancestor's body, more meat lumps appeared. Puff puff puff. In a short time, these meat lumps expanded and exploded, as pus oozed out and year beasts appeared. Chicken, monkey, sheep, rabbit, all sorts of year beasts appeared. These year beasts were not just desolate beast level, there were also some ancient year beasts. After some time, the year beasts gathered and attacked Thousand Transformations Ancestor. Thousand Transformations Ancestor was not surprised, his expression became more relaxed instead. His pain was greatly reduced, even though it was still painful, it was at a bearable level now. Against the attack of a dozen year beasts, Thousand Transformations Ancestor snorted as he willed. Cling clang. Countless thick chains shot out from the surrounding walls at lightning speed. In the blink of an eye, all of the year beasts were captured and suppressed, no matter how they struggled inside the palace. Thousand Transformations Ancestor let out a breath of air, I can finally catch a breather. He grabbed the snake year beast closest to him and observed it with his methods. The snake year beast continued to hiss as it exposed its tongue, it wanted to bite Thousand Transformations Ancestor but was restrained and could not move. A moment later, Thousand Transformations Ancestor's expression was unchanged, but he was deeply shocked. I used all my methods earlier, but this snake year beast still has such great animosity against me, it wants me dead. My cutting flesh transformation is one of the styles of an immortal killer move from Reckless Savage True Inheritance, Suicide Transformation. Whenever I use it, life forms would be produced from my body, regardless of form, they will be manipulated like my limbs, I can use them freely. Because they are a portion of my body to begin with. But these year beasts were produced from my body, yet I cannot control them, even with all my methods, they are useless. Such an amazing myriad tribulation. Thousand Transformations Ancestor's forehead produced a drop of sweat. He thought about his tribulation half a month ago, he was still feeling lingering fear from it. Rank 8 Gu immortals had to go through 3 myriad tribulations. Thousand Transformations Ancestor had just gone through the first. If not for this immortal Gu house left behind by Reckless Savage Demon Venerable, I would not be able to survive the first myriad tribulation at all. Even though I passed it now, I am still severely injured, I had to use cutting flesh transformation to cut my losses short. Thousand Transformations Ancestor wanted to find some other way around it, but after half a month, he reached his limit and could not endure it anymore. Without a choice, he could only use cutting flesh transformation to discard a portion of his immortal body, and get rid of the part of his body that was heavily injured. This time, he met with a time path myriad tribulation, the injuries on him were all of time path Dao marks. Thousand Transformations Ancestor got rid of all these time path Dao marks using cutting flesh transformation, abandoning them. This way, the cutting flesh transformation turned them into year beasts. And because they were filled with heaven's will, these your beasts were not under his control, they were his enemies. Thousand Transformations' ancestor felt great loss. The costs were too severe. Not just the near catastrophic damage to his immortal aperture from the myriad tribulation. Looking at the Dao marks he lost from cutting flesh transformation, not only did he lose the time path Dao marks, he even lost his own transformation path Dao marks. The Dao marks' losses were too huge. Thousand Transformations' ancestor counted, after this myriad tribulation, not only did he not have any growth in Dao marks, he even made a small loss instead. This means, I was better off not going through the tribulation. Thinking of this, the experienced Thousand Transformations' ancestor's heart felt some bitterness. He sighed deeply. It could not be helped. In the past, he had cultivated boldly and advanced quickly, facing his myriad tribulation, he had stalled it until recently, when he could no longer stall it anymore. Even though he passed the myriad tribulation, Thousand Transformations' ancestor's foundation did not grow, he even became weaker in terms of Dao marks. I was wrong. 1,000 years ago, by relying on this reckless savage true inheritance, I thought I would progress unhindered. Earthly calamities, heavenly tribulations, grand tribulations, I got through all of them easily, but the myriad tribulation is a completely different story. I underestimated the myriad tribulation's power. These last years, I had unknowingly gotten more arrogant, this injury is both a blessing and a disaster to me. Thousand Transformations' ancestor was a rank 8 expert, he was naturally an incredible person. He recalled his experiences and reflected on himself after this severe loss. Right at this time, outside the palace, a female immortal's voice could be heard, "Lord husband, something happened. Sister Cui Bo's life tablet Gu was broken, her soul lantern Gu has turned dim. She went to Translocation Desert, but none of us can contact her now, this is too important, I had no choice but to inform you. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 1399, Selling Your Beasts. Chapter 1399, Selling Your Beasts. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. What? Thousand Transformations' ancestor heard this and became furious. Even though he had many wives and concubines, among them, he doted on his third concubine, Fairy Cui Bo, the most. Who did not know that in Western Desert's Gu immortal world? Now that Fairy Cui Bo was in trouble, if it was intentional, then these Gu immortal culprits were simply looking down on Thousand Transformations' ancestor. There were two possibilities. The first was that the attacking Gu immortal had a strong background, similar to that of a rank 8 great expert, they were not afraid of Thousand Transformations' ancestor. The other possibility was that the inheritance of Western Desert Zombie Alliance's branch was too alluring, the value was tremendous, greed led to killing intent, and they took that risk at the spur of the moment. I'll repress it. Thousand Transformations' ancestor breathed in deeply, holding down his anger for now. He could not go out in this situation. There were still meat lumps growing on his body, continuing to produce your beasts. He needed to heal himself. If he left now and met any rank 8s, his weakness would be exposed. I occupy Myriad Statue Desert, everyone knows I obtained Reckless Savage's true inheritance. If my weak state is exposed, everyone will want to attack me, I need to lay low for now, I'll let Hong Yun 1. Deal with it. Thinking of this, Thousand Transformations' ancestor transmitted outside, Hong Yun, set off now, find Cui Bo and save her. The female immortal outside said in fear, "Lord husband, I have low battle strength, my safety is secondary, but if I fail to achieve your objective, that will be worse. No worries, I will lend you a rank 8 immortal Gu along with my will and immortal essence. Don't worry and go." Thousand Transformations' ancestor said as a slit opened in the door, a lump of will carrying a rank 8 immortal Gu as well as some immortal essence flew out. The female immortal, Hong Yun, was overjoyed, she bowed 3 times, this concubine understands. Thousand Transformations' ancestor asked Hong Yun to leave as his thoughts went back to his problem. Even though he loved Fairy Cui Bo, the bigger concern was himself. There were more and more year beasts in this palace. Thousand Transformations ancestor frowned deeply. These year beasts are either desolate beasts or ancient desolate beasts. But they are filled with heaven's will and are my enemies. I cannot use them. Rather than killing them for immortal materials, I might as well sell them inside treasure yellow heaven. Thousand Transformations ancestor had no other choice. This myriad tribulation expended almost all of his foundation. His immortal aperture was a mess now, and so was his body. His battle strength was lower than before he went through the myriad tribulation. And the most infuriating thing was, even though he passed the myriad tribulation, he had lost Dao marks instead of gaining them. Gu immortal cultivation is truly increasingly difficult. Even though I had reckless savage's true inheritance, I still faced such great danger during the myriad tribulation. No wonder there are only 10 rank 9 Gu immortals throughout the long history of humanity. Sigh. Thousand Transformations ancestor sighed deeply as he stuffed a desolate level year beast into his immortal aperture. Using the immortal aperture, he sent this year beast into treasure yellow heaven. Any item, when placed into treasure yellow heaven, would emit treasure light. Although Thousand Transformations ancestor's desolate level year beast was not a genuine one, being formed from his flesh, and created from heaven's will and time path Dao marks, after entering treasure yellow heaven, it emitted an incredibly large treasure light. This treasure light attracted the attention of many Gu immortals. Some were Gu immortal wills while others were the divine senses of Gu immortals undergoing transaction. How are you selling this your beast? Soon, Gu immortals approached him. Thousand Transformations ancestor smiled and replied, no hurry, no hurry. Soon after, he stuffed a portion of the year beasts into treasure yellow heaven again. Year beasts were rare in the first place. Especially when they lived inside the river of time. Be it the 5 regions or the 2 heavens, they were rarely seen. Entering the river of time was far harder than entering black heaven and white heaven. Only time path rank 8 great experts could enter freely. Right now, Thousand Transformations ancestor wanted to sell so many year beasts, and they were not ordinary beasts, they were all desolate beasts or ancient desolate beasts. Treasure yellow heaven went into a commotion. There is a Gu immortal selling large numbers of year beasts suddenly, go take a look. These year beasts have such high quality, it is astounding. It is hard to imagine that someone raised so many year beasts. This person must be a time path great expert. The Gu immortals conversed and guessed. Thousand Transformations ancestor was rather satisfied. He created such a commotion and watched as it spread. Soon, more and more Gu immortals will pay attention to this. These year beasts are pure and natural. I have not used any enslavement methods on them from the start. You can see for yourselves. Thousand Transformations ancestor explained. The Gu immortals took a look and found that it was true. They quickly asked for the price. No rush, no rush. Thousand Transformations ancestor stalled. He was waiting. These year beasts were not true wild beasts, they were flesh of his body, formed from the might of the myriad tribulation. There were differences between them and natural year beasts. Normal year beasts could be enslaved, but these year beasts filled with heaven's will could not. Even if anyone could do it, they would have to be incredible experts, having extraordinary methods. Thus, Thousand Transformations ancestor needed to sell them all in the shortest time possible. This could not be a sustained trade. As time passes, everyone would find out this problem and announce it, his business will suffer greatly. Hopefully, one buyer offers a high price and buy all these year beasts. Thousand Transformations ancestor was thinking about the best case scenario. He wanted to sell it to those super forces or rank 8 Gu immortals. More and more year beasts were put up in treasure yellow heaven by Thousand Transformations ancestor. The Gu immortals were gasping, thinking that this was a huge trade. For the last 50,000 years, this was an extremely large number of year beasts sold. Seeing that more people were coming, Thousand Transformations ancestor announced, I don't like trouble, whoever buys more, I will sell to them first. For the price, I will sell according to the treasure light of each year beast. This is a fair and impartial trade. Once he said that, the secluded cultivators and lone cultivators begrudged. But some emerged to ask about the transaction and price. They were either rank 8 great experts or representatives of super forces. Thousand Transformations' ancestor negotiated with these people closely. His mind went back to a calm state. At this rate of sales, after he sells all the year beasts, he would earn quite a bit. He might even be able to recoup his losses. Feng Gu was flying in the sky. It was a clear sky with no clouds anywhere. Looking down, he saw that sand dunes were moving around, flowing slowly. What made Feng Gu comfortable was that this desert was not void of life. There was vegetation in it. Some were cactus pointers, some were arrow shrubs, and some were white teeth flowers, bringing some life to the desert. These were all common vegetation in Western Desert. The cactus pointer was very much like a cactus. There were pin-like leaves on it. The cactus pointer had the shape of a human hand. Some were clenched while others were pointing their index fingers, some were curling their pinky or raising their middle fingers. They pointed in all directions. Arrow shrubs were the most common shrub in Western Desert. They had long and thick branches. They were about 10 feet tall while some could reach 30 feet, even taller than houses. Under the arrow shrubs were some sandworms, and even wild goo. As for white teeth flowers, they were like sunflowers at the size of a face, looking at the sun to absorb sunlight. Around the flowers, there were orange-yellow petals, and at the center of the flower, there were rows of white teeth, lined together in a packed fashion. Under the light of the sun, they shined with a milky luster. This was the special scenery of Western Desert. Feng Gu enjoyed it very much. His main attention was ahead of him. I am close, Fang Yuan and the rest are nearby. Feng Gu started to descend. Soon, he went down and landed on the hot desert surface. He flew down rapidly, but from start to finish, there was no commotion, no wind had formed at all. Feng Gu looked around, a brilliant light flashed in his eyes. He had a discovery. There is an illusion formation here. This illusion formation could not be destroyed, even though it was a mortal formation. Destroying it would alert them. Feng Gu thought about it. He found that this illusion formation did not isolate the air of the inside and outside. A gust of wind blew. Feng Gu stretched out his arm and squeezed. He actually grabbed the wind with his hand. Next, an immortal killer move was secretly activated in his hand. The aura was completely concealed. Finally, Feng Gu opened his hand as the wind in his grasp was placed towards his chest. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Next, wind moved around his entire body. It was no different from the earlier natural breeze. Under the force of this wind, he moved quickly and went past the illusion formation, getting to the core of the Gu formation. His field of vision changed. A huge sand whirlpool took over Feng Gu's sight. Loud crashing noises could be heard around his ears. Feng Gu felt like he was in the middle of a waterfall. The rising smoke felt like the water vapor of the waterfall. The entire sand whirlpool was huge and grand. Feng Gu looked around. He did not discover Fang Yuan and the rest. He directed his gaze towards the center of the sand whirlpool. There was a deep dark hole there. After investigating it, Feng Gu did not hesitate. He jumped into the hole. The hole was formed from spiraling sand. Feng Gu flew downward alone. The tunnel was quite big for one person. Deep into the sand hole, Feng Gu soon found himself in darkness. Feng Gu could not see anything, but it did not matter. His investigative methods were not few, they were very useful. This darkness could not stop him. Time Path Aura. Feng Gu's heart jumped. He knew he was at the right place. This could be a tributary of the River of Time. If Fang Yuan followed the tributary of the River of Time, he could enter the River of Time and find Red Lotus True Inheritance. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1400, Year Beast Army. Chapter 1400, Year Beast Army. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. The tunnel deep within the center of the sand whirlpool seemed to extend endlessly underground. The deeper Feng Gu went, the more he could feel the time path aura getting denser. Suddenly, from the darkness, there was a shining spark. Inside the darkness, this light was extremely eye-catching, it was shining in a brass color. A wild mortal Gu. Feng Gu flew closer and saw a rank 3 Gu. Gu looked like a shell with the size of a child's palm, it was round with 2 fins on its sides. The fins moved around as the shell swam in the darkness gently. Compared to year beasts, Gu was much more common, it could be found anywhere in the 5 regions and 2 heavens. What got Feng Ji's attention was the fact that the river of time was filled with a vast number of Gu, month Gu, and year Gu to begin with. There were wild Gu here. Was there a tributary of the river of time like he thought? Tributaries of the river of time were a commonly seen yet rare cultivation resource. Commonly seen because every Gu immortal's immortal aperture had a tributary of the river of time, it allowed time to flow within the immortal aperture's world. But rare because inside the 5 regions and 2 heavens, there were few tributaries of the river of time, yet their scale was much larger than those inside immortal apertures. Once they appeared, super forces would fight for them using great strength. If lone immortals found them, they would try to conceal them and use them to gain a fortune themselves. Not only were time path Gu worms needed by time path Gu masters or Gu immortals, they were very widely used in Gu refinement. For example, Gu, this rank 3 Gu has 3 days worth of time in it. If one had the relevant refinement path method, by expending this rank 3 Gu, they could shorten the time needed for Gu refinement by 3 days. There were also time path lifespan extension methods using Gu, month Gu, and year Gu to increase lifespan. Of course, these methods had flaws and would carve time path Dao marks in the person's body. When these Dao marks accumulated, they would not be able to use lifespan Gu in the future. But lifespan Gu were hard to find. If one did not have any, and their lifespan was at its end, would they not use these methods? If there is a tributary of the river of time here, Shadow Sect must have found it and secretly hid it here. Feng Gu continued to delve deeper. Soon, he saw more and more wild time path Gu worms. Gu, month Gu, year Gu, and more. A white ripple of light appeared in front of Feng Gu. This ripple was the size of a bed, it was like the ripples on the surface of a lake, completely silent. Feng Gu slowed down cautiously. This was a ripple of time. A special phenomenon. Like wind in the desert, fog in the mountains, and rain from the sky. Ripples of time were a natural phenomenon as well. Any life form which entered a ripple of time would be affected. Their time would become faster, they would grow older more quickly. They could also become slower, the world would seem to move faster from their perspective. But regardless of fast or slow, their lifespan would be shaved away. Feng Gu did not dare to test it, he slowed down and detoured around it. After leaving the ripple of time, Feng Gu let out a breath of air, he was even more certain now that there was a tributary of the river of time here. Heavenly Court's Gu immortals have already pointed out to him that Red Lotus' true inheritance was hidden in the Stone Lotus Islands. If Fang Yuan wanted to inherit it, he would need to enter the river of time, and to get into the river of time, the best way was to find a tributary of the river of time. This tributary of the river of time was like an entrance, it had to be big enough to enter. The tributary of the river of time in a Gu immortal's immortal aperture was not big enough. Only a tributary of the river of time in the 5 regions and 2 heavens had an almost similar rate at which time flowed as the river of time, it could allow Gu immortals to enter. More and more ripples of time started to appear in front of Feng Gu. The deeper he went, the larger the tunnel became. At first, there were only a few time path mortal Gu, but they increased in numbers. When he got to the deepest part, there were Gu worm groups of at least 100 per group. The time path aura was getting denser, Feng Gu could even hear the sound of flowing water. Next, in his vision, he saw a long line. As Feng Gu got closer, this line got larger, until it became the form of a river. A tributary of the river of time. Feng Gu's heart shook, it was indeed here. But where are Fang Yuan and the others? Feng Gu had just thought of this when a figure emerged from a ripple of time near him, pouncing at him. Feng Gu immediately dodged as bright light shined in his eyes. An immortal killer move was instantly activated. Sound path, silence surpasses sound. Feng Gu cultivated sound path and aspired to create 9 songs to represent everything in this world. He had already created 7 songs currently, Separation Song was one of them. But other than his 7 songs, he also had other sound path methods. Sound path killer move silence surpasses sound was one of them. Feng Gu had practiced it a lot, he was extremely familiar with it, his activation succeeded instantly. He started to punch with his fist and strike with his palm, attacking the black shadow from a distance. This was a killer move, with his fist as the drum fist, and his palm as the bell palm. It was the content of Spirit Affinity House's 3 Sounds True Inheritance. Within the 3 Sounds True Inheritance, other than drum fist and bell palm, there was also whistle finger. But Feng Gu had not learned it yet, he had only practiced this with the aim of covering some shortages of methods in battle. That huge shadow monster was growling from Feng Gu's attacks. But the strange thing was, its growling vanished the moment it opened its mouth. Feng Gu's drum fist created drumming noises, while his bell palm created bell chimes. But at this moment, there was no sound produced here. Soon, Feng Gu had the upper hand, his attacks became fiercer as the monster became dazed from the attacks, it could not retaliate. Feng Gu also saw that the thing that assaulted him was a year beast. Monkey year beast. And it was only a desolate beast, it was not an ancient desolate beast. Otherwise, it would not be suppressed so easily. Feng Gu squinted. In the river of time, not only were there wild time path gu worms, there were also wild beasts and plants. Year beasts were rare in the 5 regions, but they were common in the river of time. But was this desolate level year beast arranged by Feng Yuan, or was it truly wild? Feng Gu was considering this problem. The answer to this would mean that Feng Yuan had either found his traces or not. Year beast. Feng Yuan watched the battle as he connected to Treasure Yellow Heaven. In Treasure Yellow Heaven, there were actually people selling year beasts openly, this was very rare. Feng Yuan was deeply enticed. These year beasts were either desolate beasts or ancient desolate beasts, if he could buy them and enslave them, they would be a huge force. Don't forget about his 180 slaves immortal killer move. By then, using these year beasts and 180 slaves killer move, Feng Yuan could even enslave immemorial year beasts. Even though he lost the upper extreme heavenly eagle, if he could get immemorial year beasts, Feng Yuan would get another rank 8 battle strength. But the problem was, the seller wanted to make huge transactions. Feng Yuan naturally wanted to buy all of the year beasts, but he was not the only one. His greatest weakness was that he did not have enough funds. If he wanted to buy the year beasts, he would need to sell the desolate beast eagles and ancient desolate beast eagles he bought earlier. Of course, Feng Yuan could sell immortal gu. But he would not do that unless he had no choice. During the Battle of the Dream Realm, Feng Yuan had to do that to survive, but now, it was not a situation of life and death. Thousand Transformations Ancestor was making his decision now. He received many offers, but there were only 3 that moved him. One directly offered immortal essence stones, a vast number of them. It was hard to imagine that someone would actually have so many immortal essence stones, even Thousand Transformations Ancestor was shocked. The second one offered a lot of immortal materials of all kinds. What moved Thousand Transformations Ancestor was that among them were a lot of Transformation Path immortal materials. The third buyer was also very sincere, he wanted to use eagle beasts to exchange for year beasts. Thousand Transformations Ancestor was currently cultivating a type of eagle transformation, this buyer's offer suited him. While Thousand Transformations Ancestor was hesitating, one of the 3 buyers offered a new high price. They are willing to offer immortal gu. Thousand Transformations Ancestor was shocked and surprised, he did not hesitate anymore, he agreed to the transaction. All of the year beasts were sold to 1 gu immortal. The transaction ended quickly, be it the buyer's deep foundation and offer, or 1,000 transformations ancestors' quick decision, they were shocking. Western Desert, inside the moving sand tunnel. Chirp chirp chirp. The monkey-ear beast screamed shrilly. But its screams vanished due to Feng Jiuji's killer move. In this silent battle, the monkey-ear beast could not resist Feng Jiugu, it was brutally slaughtered. Feng Jiugu inspected and found that this monkey-ear beast was truly a wild desolate beast. He took it as his spoils of battle and kept it in his immortal aperture. The entire battle only lasted for a short while. Feng Jiugu had evidently not used his true power, eliminating a desolate level-year beast was too simple. He did not need to rest, he continued to travel towards the tributary of the River of Time. The closer he got, the clearer the tributary of the River of Time became. River water was flowing, ripples were shining, the river was silently moving in this darkness. Howl! Howl! Suddenly, from the tributary of the River of Time, several year beasts flew out and attacked Feng Jiugu. Feng Jiugu was slightly shocked. I was discovered. Earlier at that instant, he felt the aura of an immortal killer move. The year beasts that attacked were quite powerful, there were 5 desolate level year beasts and 3 ancient year beasts. Feng Jiugu snorted, his battle intent surged. Since he was discovered, he no longer needed to restrain himself in battle. Come out Feng Yuan. Feng Jiugu lightly called out. But at the next moment, his pupils shrunk. More year beasts were coming out from the tributary of the River of Time. In an instant, there were more than 10 year beasts. And more were continuing to attack as they came out of the tributary of the River of Time. What is going on? Is there a group of year beasts near this tributary of the River of Time? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.